Y'all know when the demon slayer Lil Tim gets involved, somebody's about to get capped no cap. And right now, word on the street is that Tim's ready to crash out for his boy NBA Youngboy after NLE Choppa dropped that disrespectful-ass diss track. But here's where it gets wild. Choppa didn't just drop a song. This fool put up a billboard in Youngboy's old hood promoting the diss. Gang, this ain't no regular rap beef anymore. This type of situation got real street implications. And ever since that track dropped, Tim's been moving different. Let me break this whole situation down for y'all, because what's about to happen next got the entire hip-hop world on edge. To understand why Lil Tim is ready to slide for Youngboy, you gotta go back to who Tim really is in this whole equation. This the same dude who protected Quando Rondo by taking out King Von in that Atlanta parking lot. Tim ain't no regular homie. This man is certified in the streets and he don't play about his people. Now Tim and Youngboy's bond goes way deeper than music, gang. When Youngboy's on stage and chaos breaks out, who you think he calls first? Not security, he calls Tim. Fans been noticing how Tim be glued to Youngboy's side like a shadow arms crossed, scanning the crowd like he's Secret Service or something. Some fans even joke that Tim looks more like a bodyguard than the actual bodyguards. But here's the real tea. After that King Von situation, Youngboy became a walking target. Every city they go to, Tim knows there's potential for revenge, so he stays on high alert. That's why when they were in New Orleans for Youngboy's birthday and the crowd got chaotic, Tim was tense while Youngboy stayed calm. Tim understands the streets, he knows how this game goes. The loyalty between these two runs deep, fam. We're talking about a bond forged in the trenches, tested by federal cases and strengthened by shared trauma. Tim's seen Youngboy at his lowest house arrest legal battles industry blackballing, and he never switched up. That's the kind of loyalty that makes a man willing to risk everything. So when NLE Choppa dropped that KO diss track, Tim didn't just hear a song, he heard disrespect. In Tim's world, disrespect toward his brother is disrespect toward him, and that's something he can't let slide. He's been known to handle that kind of energy with extreme prejudice. Now let's talk about this diss track that got everybody talking. NLE Choppa really went all out with that KO joint, and the visuals were straight disrespectful. This fool had Youngboy depicted as a puppet with strings calling him controlled and basically saying he sold his soul. But that's just the beginning. The song itself was some real artistic expression type stuff, Choppa channeling his inner Tupac and Michael Jackson with the choreography and everything. Fans gave the video a 10 out of 10, but the song a 7 out of 10. And the real question is this growth and evolution from Choppa, or is it just jealousy disguised as competition? But here's what really got under Tim's skin. The imagery in that video was calculated to hurt. Choppa had Youngboy looking like a slave chained up with puppet strings, portraying him as controlled by the industry. That kind of visual disrespect hits different when you know what Youngboy's been through to get where he's at. See, Tim remembers when Youngboy was really struggling, when labels wouldn't touch him, when he was on house arrest, when the whole industry tried to blackball him. Tim watched his boy fight through all that adversity to become the biggest independent artist in the game. So to see Choppa now trying to paint him as a puppet when he finally winning, that's personal. But here's where Choppa took the beef to another level that caught Tim's full attention. Word started spreading that Choppa put up a billboard in Youngboy's old neighborhood promoting the diss track. Gang, that's some next-level disrespect. You don't bring the beef to a man's hood like that unless you're ready for all the smoke that comes with it. When Tim heard about that billboard, sources close to the situation say he was heated. At this point, it ain't just about defending Youngboy's name anymore, it's about defending his territory, his family, his everything. And Tim's been known to handle business when it comes to protecting what's his. What's his? Now the reactions to this whole situation been wild, fam. First, let's talk about Youngboy's mama, because Shorty did not hold back. She went straight at Choppa's head with some of the most disrespectful bars I've ever heard from a mama defending her son. She said, and I quote, "Your head looked like a penis without a rubber on top of it, but yet you want to sit here and try to talk about somebody." Damn! Mama Youngboy really said that man's head looked uncovered, if you know what I mean. Y'all heard what she said, she wasn't playing no games. But she didn't stop there. She called out the hypocrisy in Choppa's video, talking about how he got a man on his knees with a crack pipe, calling Youngboy evil while doing the same kind of imagery himself. She said, "I bet they got another video with that same fool on his knees sucking your pipe, 'cause who even gonna play that stupid role?" Mama Youngboy was on that timing for real, and she ended it by saying Choppa better be lucky she can't say what she really want to say on Instagram. That's when you know it's personal, when the family getting involved like that. But here's what really got Tim fired up, seeing Mama Youngboy have to defend her son like that. Tim got mad respect for her, and seeing her stressed about the situation probably made him want to handle it even more. In the streets, when somebody make your mama cry or stress, that's grounds for immediate retaliation. And the fact that Mama Youngboy felt the need to respond publicly shows how deep this cut.
She usually stays out the drama, but Choppa's video was so disrespectful, she just couldn't let it slide.
And when the matriarch of the family speaks up, that's a signal to soldiers like Tim that it's time to move. The street's been buzzing ever since, and everybody picking sides. Some people saying Choppa finally found his voice, that this the kind of conscious rap hip-hop needs. Others saying it's just jealousy cause Youngboy the hottest rapper in the game right now. Even DJ Academics broke it down perfectly when he said, there's always gonna be a counterfigure always rises when somebody hits the top. Just like Drake's popularity helped Kendrick, cause Kendrick could position himself as the pure rapper against Drake's so-called fluff. Maybe Choppa trying to play that same role, the anti-Youngboy, the lyrical rival to his street dominance. But here's what really caught Tim's attention, the way Choppa depicted Youngboy as a slave to the system. That imagery, puppet strings, handcuffs calling him controlled, hit deep, especially now that Youngboy's finally trying to get his life right and stay out of trouble. Tim knew that was strategic, meant to get under Youngboy's skin and make him crash out. Then NBA Herm, one of Youngboy's closest associates, jumped in with some cryptic posts that had people thinking something's about to go down. Herm posted, when the my was poppin', man, it was poppin'. Now we poppin'. You hear me? It's a problem. That type of energy let Tim know he ain't the only one feeling disrespected. The whole never broke again family riding on the same emotion, and when that crew gets unified, things can turn dangerous fast. But what really got the streets talking was how calculated Choppa's move was. This wasn't no random diss. This was premeditated, from the music video concept to the billboard placement in Youngboy's old hood. That level of planning made Tim realize this might not be just rap beef. This could be psychological warfare. And here's where it gets serious, gang. Sources in the streets saying Tim been making calls ever since that billboard went up. This ain't about lyrics no more, cause when you bring beef to a man's neighborhood, you crossing lines that can't be uncrossed. Tim knows street politics better than most. He knows that billboard wasn't just promotion, it was a message. It was Choppa saying, I can disrespect your boss in his own backyard and nothing's gonna happen. But Tim ain't the type to let that slide. People close to the situation say he's been asking questions where Choppa be at, who he roll with, what his movements look like. And that's the kind of behavior that got King Von caught up in Atlanta. Cause when Tim start doing reconnaissance, that usually means something's about to go down. Somebody about to get touched. The crazy part? Choppa probably don't even realize how serious this just got. He might think this some regular rap beef, but Tim don't move by industry rules, he move by street rules. And in the streets, disrespecting a man in his own hood is grounds for retaliation. What makes this situation even more dangerous is Tim's track record. This the same man who was ready to throw his life away to protect Quando Rondo. He caught a murder charge and walked free, but that showed everyone he's willing to risk everything for his people. Now he's seeing the same kind of disrespect aimed at Youngboy, and you already know. That trigger finger itching. Tim been moving in silence, but people in the know saying he's been reaching out to certain individuals, asking about Choppa's security detail, his travel schedule, where he be recording at. That's the kind of intel gathering that happens right before something pops off. And that billboard stunt? That made everything 10 times worse. It showed Choppa was bold enough to bring the beef straight to Youngboy's territory. In Tim's mind, that's an invasion, and invasions require military responses. Now let's connect the dots on why the situation's so dangerous. Tim already proved what kind of man he is when he handled that King Von situation. He caught a body to protect his brother Quando Rondo. Now he's seeing that same kind of disrespect, this time toward Youngboy. That billboard lit a fire in him because it reminded him of how the ops used to taunt them back in the day, putting up disrespectful messages in each other's hoods. That's not promo, that's psychological warfare. And Tim know if they let this slide, it opens the door for more disrespect. Plus, he's been watching how the industry been trying to paint Youngboy as controlled ever since he started cleaning up his image. That slave imagery in Choppa's video probably triggered something deep, because Tim know how much Youngboy been fighting to change. But here's what people don't get. Tim don't care about industry politics or rap beef etiquette. He lives by a different code, one that says, you protect your family by any means necessary. And the timing of all this couldn't be worse. Youngboy finally in a good space, his tour doing numbers, music charting, no legal drama, just peace. So for Choppa to come in and disrupt that peace with this kind of move, Disrespect probably got Tim feeling like he needs to send a message. Tim also understands the psychological aspect of what Choa's doing by calling Youngboy controlled and depicting him as a puppet. Choa's trying to get under his skin and make him react emotionally. But Tim knows that's exactly what they want for Youngboy to crash out and mess up his progress. So instead of letting Youngboy handle it and risk messing up his situation, Tim's probably thinking he needs to handle it himself. That way Youngboy can keep his hands clean while still sending a message that disrespect won't be tolerated. The street code Tim lives by doesn't allow this kind of public humiliation to go unanswered. In his world, respect is everything. Once you let somebody disrespect you publicly without consequences, you open the door for everybody else to try you. The hip-hop world's been watching this situation closely because everybody knows Tim's reputation. When academics covered the story, he made sure to mention Tim's history and why this beef is different from regular rap drama. Other artists have been staying quiet about the situation because they know it's real street business now. Nobody wants to pick sides when Tim's involved because they know how he gets down. Even artists who usually insert themselves into drama have been keeping their mouths shut. Even Choa's own people are probably telling him to chill because they understand the kind of energy Tim brings to any situation. This ain't about who's got the better bars anymore. This is about real street consequences. The billboard situation especially got people nervous because it showed Choa's willing to escalate beyond just music. But Tim's been escalating too, just in ways the public can't see yet. Industry insiders have been whispering about the situation, with some saying Choa might have made a mistake he can't take back. When you're dealing with somebody like Tim, there's no such thing as just music. Everything's personal. The fact that Youngboy's been staying quiet probably makes Tim feel like he needs to step up even more. Tim knows Youngboy is trying to stay focused on his career and not get distracted by beef, so he probably feels it's his job to handle the disrespect. Security companies have even been reaching out to Choa's team offering their services because word on the street is Tim's been asking questions. That's when you know things are real, when professional security starts calling. Some security companies been volunteering their services without even being asked. People in the industry have been trying to mediate the situation behind the scenes, but Tim ain't the type to sit down and talk things out. He's more of a handle-it-in-the-streets type of person, and that's exactly what got everybody nervous. The ripple effects of this situation are already being felt throughout the industry. Other artists who might have been thinking about dissing Youngboy are probably reconsidering after seeing how serious Tim's taking this Choa situation. Here's the real issue, fam. This whole situation represents everything wrong with how rap beef can turn deadly. Choa probably thought he was just making art and expressing himself, but he doesn't understand the street implications of his actions. Tim, on the other hand, can't separate the music from the streets. That's not how he was raised. When he sees disrespect toward his brother, he's not thinking about streaming numbers or social media buzz. He's thinking about respect and retaliation. That billboard was the final straw because it brought the beef to Youngboy's territory in a way that can't be ignored. In Tim's mind, that's an act of war, not just artistic expression. And here's what's scary. Tim's got nothing to lose at this point. He already caught one body protecting his people. So what's another one? That's the kind of mindset that makes this whole situation so dangerous. This situation also highlights the generational divide in hip-hop. Choa represents the new school trying to elevate the culture and spread positive messages, but he's using old-school tactics, public disrespect, and territorial violations that come with old-school consequences. Tim represents that old-school mentality where disrespect gets handled with violence, not Twitter fingers or diss tracks. He's from an era where your reputation in the streets mattered more than your streaming numbers. The tragedy is both sides probably want the same thing, respect for their people and success in their careers. But the methods they're using to get there are putting them on a collision course that could end in tragedy. This also shows how the industry needs better conflict resolution. When beef escalates to this level, there should be people stepping in to calm things down before it turns deadly. But the culture still glorifies violence as the solution to disrespect. So there you have it, gang. Lil Tim's ready to crash out for NBA Youngboy, and NLE Choppa might have bit off more than he can chew with that billboard stunt. This ain't regular rap beef anymore. This is real street politics with real consequences. Tim's been moving in silence, but the streets are talking. Everybody knows when Tim starts asking questions and making moves, somebody usually ends up hurt. Choa better hope he's got good security and stays out of certain cities, because Tim doesn't play about his people. That billboard situation crossed a line that can't be uncrossed, and Tim's the type to make sure there's a consequence for that kind of disrespect. Whether it's through direct confrontation or behind-the-scenes pressure, Tim's gonna make sure Choa understands he made a mistake. What y'all think about this whole situation? Did Choa go too far with that billboard, or is Tim overreacting? Drop your thoughts in the comments, but remember, this is real street business with real consequences. Keep it 100, but stay safe out there. Until next time, it's your boy breaking down all the tea. Peace.